All right, everybody. Welcome to Maps of Dead with Mike D. We're talking about navigating your life with things that don't change, which are the things on the inside. We change and grow, but we need cardinal points of direction. From a navigation, how do you navigate the world when the map that somebody else gave you doesn't quite lead to where you thought it would? So, really excited to connect with a very old friend of mine, Erica. Way back in my days, my very first true client, Erica was there. So Erica knows my early days of strength. And now, Erica, thanks for being willing to jump on today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
I'm excited to chat. So we're going to talk about CliftonStrengths, your profile, and navigating some things and how to navigate change. And we'll talk, and I'll play coach. But real quick, before you go, what were the five? You just took CliftonStrengths again. It's been a while. 2013, I think, was the last time. Well, tell me your top five. I'm going to write them down so I can remember them.
Includer,
Okay.
developer. I had my other
Yeah.
things so
These are all
memorized, and
new.
now
These
that
are
it's
new
changed.
ones for you.
Analytical, competition.
Yeah.
What is the what's the fifth one? I gotta look again.
Oh, hold on. I've got it somewhere.
Okay.
Let me find. I'll find it. Rick sent it. My guy sent it to me earlier.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
one second.
I was like taken aback. It's like literally floor dropping. The only
You're like,
one
wait, what
that
exactly?
really didn't surprise me being included was the competition. I was like, yeah, that's both a healthy and unhealthy habit.
Consistency. Oh, you have consistency. Well, it's in here too. We'll write down
Okay.
here. Consistency. All right. Weeks. So, Clifton Strengths teams. Now, do you remember any of? So, which ones do you remember from the previous time, and which ones are new for you?
Analytical is the only one from
Okay.
yes. Self-assurance or self-assured, achiever,
Okay.
futuristic.
Okay.
I don't remember. I don't
Okay.
remember what the fifth.
Wow. That's a big shift. So, Erica, we met before when you used to be at United Way Detroit. Tell me what you're doing now. Catch me up a little bit in your
Okay.
story, where you're kind of at. What are you doing? What are you focused on these days?
So I post United Way jumped ship, had a really
Okay.
wild opportunity to go to healthcare and SaaS and work at a startup, and was actually from um, a former leader that I had who said, "You're going to love it. It's change every day. It's complex, and it's a lot of people." So I made this crazy jump thinking, how is this ever going to help the world? Because that's what I wanted to do, was help the world. And so instead I went to the darkest side of our for-profit and started to work in software technology, healthcare technology, have jumped through and survived several acquisitions, and now am working in VP of operations and customer success for a software company that supports patients with IBD conditions. So we work with
Okay.
health plans, practices, providers, and patients to help
Okay.
manage ulcerative colitis and Crohn's. So
Wow. Yeah, those are both very. I mean, that's a pair. Colitis and Crohn's. That's huge. That's a tough disease to deal with. And just what it does to you. And so how many years now total?
since I've been at this company, it'll be 3 in May.
Yeah, 23 in May. Okay, okay. Leading a team at all? Kind of working on your own project? What are you kind of focused on? What's your?
Right now, own project, as we're really in the startup and
Yeah,
doing a little bit of everything, which is exciting.
everybody does everything.
Yes, yeah, yep. Have had some team members, like people under me, have had changes
Yeah,
in how we've sort of structured and managed to prepare for growth, ideally. So, uh,
yeah.
I've done both sides, I guess, been individual contributor and leader.
Nice. Just to kind of, well, I'll dive into your themes here, but get a little bit more. When you made a big shift after United Way, and again, you're like, it's like, well, how am I going to impact the world? Because this is what you want, create change in the world. Obviously, you've had a lot of shift in Clifton Strengths themes. People will ask me all the time, do my themes change? Typically, after the age of 22, Gallup has found that our Clifton Strengths themes typically stay pretty stable, um, but they do actually end up shifting how we use them. And so you kind of pull, I always say you pull out of your top 10. We've always focused on top five. We pull out of our top 10 ultimately. Um, when you think about the shift for you, when you shifted, you're like, I'm leading United Way, make the first move in healthcare, and now the startup. What was it that told you it's time. How did you know it was time?
I was bored and
Okay.
I didn't feel like the challenges that I was experiencing were helping me develop and grow as a
Hmm.
person or a employee or leader or manager, and felt
Yeah.
that they were more challenges that were disruptions to
Hmm.
my life versus growth.
Yeah. It's interesting. Gallup and when Gallup did their they first started doing millennial research back when millennials were like nearly in the workforce. And one of the things they were talking about was this big shift that that most companies still argue with them today about was that people, for the first time, would stay longer in roles for less money if they thought there was development opportunities.
Mhm.
And companies like, no, 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 it's all about the money. And they're like, no, 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 no. Employees actually want to feel like they're growing, and growth was a key piece, and especially with somebody with developer and competition for you, progress is going to be really, really critical. And so you may find that people with developer, one of the things they'll say is this idea of stopping is the same as being stuck. Is that they need an incremental improvement, even if it's small growth, small steps. If they can't see how today will contribute to tomorrow, especially knowing that you had futuristic in your first set of themes, that future, the present, you may say, well, I'll take a riskier and even less compensating role potentially if I know there's growth.
Yep.
Does that
Yeah.
resonate?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I think I look at everything I'm doing,
Yeah.
personally and professionally, at where is it getting me, um,
Hmm.
towards, like, satisfaction and happiness and
Hmm.
growth,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. That progress, the ability to make progress
Yes.
in things, the ability to actually show incremental improvement ends up being really, really
Yes,
important.
yeah, and I think it was honestly part of why I was also willing to take the risk from going to what I really had thought would be my focus in life, which would be working at nonprofits, and taking this risk to go to startups, healthcare, but was looking at it from like, how is this going to change me, and what can
Yeah.
I do with it? And thinking about it from the first thing she said to me was, it's change every day. Like, it's change every day. And it's obviously, she knew me very well,
Yeah.
that it was like, that part
Yeah.
for me is exciting, to think every
Hmm.
day there could be something new to do versus,
Yeah.
you know, like, ding, 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 ding.
Repetitious.
Yes, yeah.
What's really interesting for me is for you to have consistency. Because consistency is very interesting. It's a unique theme. Consistent. So I'll let you walk through some of these. We had talked through is that, but consistency likes things. It doesn't mean everything has to be the same, but expectations have to be the same almost. And so I have to say consistency is about not everyone should, not it's a consistent levels of service. Like when you treat somebody, it's like, hey, you know what? Whether they're a brand new customer or they're the CEO of the company, they should get consistent expectations from me. Consistent people who live consistently and lead consistently and show up being congruent.
Mhm.
Does that sound
Oh,
right?
absolutely. I think when I think
Yeah.
of the frustrations I have, it's like, that's different. That is not the same that I would
Yeah.
expect someone to do or treat or
Yeah.
complete something based off of it being a different person. So, yeah, that's
Yeah, consistency has a gift. What I call it has a gift for equity. They understand the system should have consistent impact, not necessarily treat everyone the same. And those are really different approaches. And so that's really interesting because what's funny to me is that your friend, who I was saying you had to pitch you, was like, okay, every day is different, which is great, but yet simultaneously your brain likes things there with I would say if your mission is consistent, if the leadership voice is consistent and it matches what you care about, that'll be the priority while having a dynamic learning
Mhm.
environment.
Yeah.
And so especially with self-assurance in your previous list, you may find that, wait a minute, is this leader inconsistent? If this new company wants to provide a service for people suffering with this terrible disease, hey, but if suddenly that shifted, you may find yourself unwilling in some ways to tolerate that.
Yeah.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, it does. It does.
finding ways to know, because that's our things at CliftonStrengths. They show up in different ways. That within our top five, there are three that are dominant. However, they don't apply to every situation exactly the same. And so you may have a higher expectation with your analytical competition consistency, a higher expectation on the stability of the vision that you're willing to contribute to, and have a more open, growing, progress focused version when it comes to things you're learning, new
Yep.
projects. If that makes any kind of sense,
Yep.
is that you want something more flexible in some ways.
Yeah.
Sounds great. So includer, when it comes to includer developer, both those relational themes. Includer, which is interesting. Includer is an emotional thermostat. We have to talk about thermostat versus a thermometer. And an includer is an empathy is an emotional thermometer. It simply reflects the emotional temperature in any given space. Includer is a thermometer, but if you think about it, a thermostat actually has a thermometer in it. It reflects the temperature and then tries to alter the emotional temperature. People with includer, they reach for the margins, they reach for the fringes, they naturally want people to be included. And so they're looking for being the voice of the marginalized. Does that resonate with you?
Yes. Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah, you may find that will drive part of your, especially when you think about your nonprofit work and things you cared about. That's naturally going to be kind of a driver in some ways to go, wait, I have a position here where I'm sitting. How do I reach for those who don't have the same opportunity? You may find that will also tie in some of your consistency. But includer, emotional thermostat, developer is emotional, it's a relational theme, but it's actually about the ability to deconstruct complicated ideas and make them understandable. And so it's about putting in the foundations first. We often find developers really enjoy teaching fundamentals and key elements. It is, it's a slight cliche, but it's really great, I think, is this idea of you'll find a second grade teacher who's very excited about teaching this 8-year-old little girl or 7-year-old little girl math. And when you ask her why, they're like, well, because she'll never be able to cure cancer if she can't do calculus, right? She'll never be able, she can't get the numbers right. And they feel that connection of I'm doing something core to them. If I teach her a love of math, then that math will teach her not to be afraid of numbers and pieces, and that'll teach her not to be afraid of chemistry, and that'll teach her not to be afraid of and not be, and they see that as I'm putting in the big pieces first. So you may find that you struggle with environments that don't put the big pieces in first,
Yeah.
where they want to leapfrog to the pyramid top without actually doing the foundational work. Does that resonate with you?
Yes. Yeah. I honestly thought of it a little bit too, like, especially in where I was 12 years ago versus now, like added children. So I feel like there's this
Mm-hmm.
constant
Good
teaching, coaching, and
example.
then like the
Yeah.
pieces that I loved about some of my other roles, in all everywhere I've been have been the like coach, teaching, seeing others succeed. So like when I saw developer, that I 100% felt like, oh, this has been the change of going from like being individual contributor to some pieces being
Yeah.
um, manager or a director
Yep.
and helping guide individuals and being more successful in their career. So I was like, oh, I could see pieces of this for sure that have
Yeah.
changed given time evolving.
Yeah. People with developer they typically really thrive in roles of leadership where a team has to learn and grow. I have to say developer is a commitment to growth. They have a natural gift on that. When it comes to collaboration, they're like, we don't have to be perfect today, but we do need to be better than we were yesterday. And so the incremental improvement shows up even in how you're leading in some ways.
Yep. Yeah.
Includer is going to be about reaching for the margins, the emotional intelligence of knowing who's on the outside, how to reach in. Developer taking complicated ideas and deconstructing them. But it's really fascinating for me still to have includer and developer, then have analytical, because analytical is a critical thinking theme. It's a thinking theme, but I say it's the most critical of all critical thinking themes. Meaning, people with analytical, they're often at a worst case scenario, to call them the no fun patrol, but they're the ones who ask the critical questions. They probably kind of poke holes in our ideas in an effort to make sure they're sound. Specifically, analytical is thinking with an eye for what is the source of the information? Where did the data come from? So people with analytical, they are naturally going, okay, where's the information from? What's that? Who says? oh, it's a problem. We should totally point our whole team this direction. And you're like, wait, how do we know it's a problem? Who says it's a problem? Does that sound
It's
right?
like it's like the natural born skeptic. Like, well, show
Yeah.
show me. Show like
Yeah.
I'm not doubting you per se, but I don't want to do it based off of a feeling. I want to actually see where you're coming from and how
Yeah.
you got to that opinion.
So Erica, tell me. So when somebody says to you that, because this is the part that's interesting to me, is that the included developer part of you is like, hey, I'm not really growing. I'm getting off of this shit to step into something. A startup is a strange beast, right? It doesn't have a long track record. It doesn't have a lot of data. What did you pull from to be like, okay, I can't get. You're not going to get guarantees. It's all hands on deck. So on one level, the analytical part of your brain that's like, show me the receipts,
Mhm.
still found the courage to step into something new. How did you do that?
What did I do? Crazily? No, I think I did it very like cost benefit. Like, what
Okay.
was I doing at X and what could Y get me? And so
Hmm.
looking at it from both, yeah, it's all hands on deck, but there were things that I was offered and presented that I could build at these
Yeah.
other organizations that it was like, okay, that's something I'm not able to do, right? Even if I think about it compared to United Way versus the first one, it was like United Way
Yeah.
was pretty structured in a great way,
Yeah. Sure.
but there wasn't like, you're going to build all this stuff, like you're going to do
Yeah.
these things versus the startup. It was like, we're flying the
Hmm.
plane while, while
Yeah.
we build it. So you're going to
Right.
be able to influence and develop and define and then teach others
Yeah.
these processes that you're building. So I feel like that was
So good.
exciting to me, and that was what helped with taking the risk, honestly, was that there has continued to be in every inch
Hmm.
there's more, and I can see the more in terms
Yeah.
of the data, um,
Yeah.
and where they're at that point in time, I guess.
See, that's so good. What's really interesting is so analytical functions as a system of critical thinking. But what's interesting is you've dropped into the system, the data points are about growth, not about this is hard, fast, critical, logical, non-relational information. Like where you're not going, this makes more money, I should do this. This is a guaranteed experience because they've been around for 30 years. I should do this. Instead, it's almost grabbing a little bit of competition. It's pros of this. Staying here means this, lack of growth. This, less stability, let more unknowns, but more growth, more measurement. Oh, different thing. And it's literally kind of a measuring versus the assumption. I think a lot of times with the analytical, which is good, this is a good reminder for me, is we assume, oh, I better give Erica written down data that makes promises that are specifically resourced, where it's more about you going, I actually need time to think and process my pros and cons and compare it to what I know I have and what I know I want.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Probably honestly, the biggest contradiction, and you just said it for me, is that like analysis, like paralysis by analysis, which is where yeah, I mean, I think every performance review I've had has been like, you overthink,
Yeah.
you overthink, go. Like sometimes just go. And I think that's where I see
Yeah.
the part of analytical that I have to try and manage sometimes because I can see it, I apply
Mhm.
it futuristic. Like, what is it going to get me?
Yeah.
Where are these pieces that are important to my development or my happiness? Where I let it overtake me is the like, is it the right thing? Is that right? Is that wrong?
Right.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah. And that's the competition part. And part of the conversation on this is that because I think when people say, "Oh, you overthink," Erica, are there ever times when you don't? Can you think of a time where you're like, "I don't always overthink.
Yeah.
There are moments when actually I dive in pretty quickly." What stands out to you?
Well, honestly, I'll say right now, a personal one, my son
Hmm.
getting an opportunity to move to a higher level hockey team. My husband
Okay.
was like thinking. I was like, dude, you go, like you go. This is it. Like this is an opportunity. This is him excelling. This is reward for his hard work. Like love the people we're with, but
Yep.
like you move. And for me, that decision was so easy. For my husband, it was like I felt like I was
Mhm.
observing what people have probably watched within me, where they're like, "Okay, get
Yeah.
there, let's get there. We're going."
Yeah.
Um,
Totally.
so yeah,
So
I
you know
can
what's
move
really interesting?
fast. Not
Yeah. So
always.
you can do it.
Yes.
But here's the thing. But that's the trick is to know what it is that's missing so you can to speed up the other decisions. Not that there's anything wrong with taking time, but if you're getting feedback that, hey, it'd be great to have more speed out of you, knowing that here's the deal. I actually don't think that you're doing anything wrong. I think something's unclear. And so what you just said, the opportunity for my son was so clear. Of course you take it. I would say anytime people are dropping things, they want you to dive in, it will almost always be somebody hasn't told you what the upside is enough.
Yeah, probably.
Is that your brain is likely very, very clear. So you can then train yourself to be like, well, wait a minute. If I'm hitting pause, if I'm in a loop, it's not because there's data. It's specifically the data of the potential is missing. And so you could literally just be like, hey, real quick, tell me what's the possibility of what they're promising? What's the upside of X? Because all your time, instead of analyzing, well, am I wrong to think this? Am I wrong to be cautious? Am I wrong to instead pivot it? Put all your effort into, hey, real quick, pitch me the upside. Lead with the potential and bring me the receipts. Because if that's clear, I'm all in.
Hmm.
And what'll happen is they won't know. They'll bring you background and give you background and background, background, background. And you're like, okay, cool. Yeah, I researched that. And you may compare that with yours. But what you just said, when the opportunity is clear, when the upside is clear, when the potential growth is clear, suddenly it's like, well, then it moves.
Yes. Yeah.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
It does.
And so when it comes to navigating those things at work or being trying to find the right pacing, knowing I'm going to ask upfront future possibility progress questions, and I'm going to ask for confidence level.
Hmm.
So my analytical brain needs is this a 20% confidence or is this like an 80% confidence that what you're telling me? So one, I need potential, but two, I need the confidence level of that potential because my analytical brain will want to think about it and see if that starts to increase the speed with which you're able to like step into decisions at work.
Hmm. Yeah.
That resonates at all?
Yes. Yeah. It does.
Yeah. Anal- Analytical is interesting. Includer is about singles on the margin, outside pieces. Developer is about progress and incremental improvement, growth. Analytical is about critical thinking about the source of the information and thinking critically and logically about any given situation. Competition is here, which is interesting as well. To have that includer is that competition. I asked someone with competition included the other day. What's it like having both of them? They're like, I know I'm better than most in the room, but I feel bad about the fact I have to beat them.
I don't know that I feel bad.
Yeah, like, I don't
I
feel
don't
that
know that I
bad.
feel bad,
It's like,
but I do know that I don't want to lose, and that
yeah,
I'll bring
yeah.
people along to celebrate.
What is interesting about competition is the competition itself is not necessarily about winning and losing, although you do enjoy winning, as you just said. Competition is about performing in comparison to a bar that is exceptional. That you're like, this person's great. I want to beat them. I used to work with USA Triathlon, and I used to always joke that all those guys in competition, not shocking on an Olympic development team. But if winning was enough, why did they challenge me to a run every morning? Because to beat me compared to an Olympic triathlete, it's no competition. It's a different thing. It's about performing in comparison to others who are great. It's about performing in comparison to others who are high performing. What is interesting then, I often tell people competition, when it comes to navigating your life, be careful because you can at times they find you're only as healthy as the things you choose to compare yourself to. The work ends up being in how how healthy is my expectations. And so let's imagine you just joined a new team. You've been here 3 years, yeah, I think you said. But imagine it's brand new competition. You may not know what the expectation is for yourself, and so you'll compare. Man, I used to be so productive in my last role,
Hmm.
and now I'm in this new role. And I'm not feeling productive, and it feels like it's not winning. I feel like you're not. And so instead, going, how good am I at being able to reframe the bar of what a win is?
Yeah, that's a really great way to think about it too, because I do think when you, at least for myself, when I start a new role, I feel less valuable because I don't know
Yes.
everything.
Yeah.
And I spend time making sure, right, that I get that context and that knowledge, and that I do become a person that is a resource and available and knowledgeable
Mhm.
to people, but it is uncomfortable for me to be the person
Yeah.
that doesn't know everything.
Yeah. It's like, how am I not a contributing player? How am I
Yes.
not
Yeah.
among the best? That ramp up. And so, and you may find at times that professionally, 'cause this, you got a lot of great life ahead of you. Like professionally, your brain will hunt for the new and yet struggle with also the frustration of that early season of not being able to play at your best.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah.
And so, and so there will be, and so I mean, at this point, you've gotten a pretty good rhythm of, I know I like to grow, I know I like to create, and I like to be great. I like to grow, I like to create, I like to be great. I mean, these are things that come up for me, and I think about how and you've navigated that clearly, and you've kind of found a rhythm. You're like, yeah, I trust myself when I make these choices, and I'm leading. Know that when it comes to make another navigation, if you find that knowing those three things doesn't feel enough, and you're like, wait, something, and you find yourself in a loop, my thing to say is be aware of there's times when simply being tired will cause you not to pull the trigger because competition won't want to take on something it can't do really well. So even when you're like, look, I want to create and I want to grow, but to make this change right now, man, I'm hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. Like, the kids are at a weird stage,
Right.
or depends on where they are in age. You're like, oh my gosh. And knowing that it might not be about because people will be like trying to make decisions. And what can happen is that they're going, well, why isn't the decision right? And you're like, actually, I think if you actually just get some extra sleep for 90 days and actually just focus in on not having to make a decision right away, you'll rest up enough and then you'll feel like, yeah, I'm ready to be on my A game. Because competition doesn't like to step into things halfway.
Right.
And so being fatigued can actually play that out. And so there's seasons, which, doesn't mean happens constantly, but you may find at times that occurs. Does that resonate at all?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that even, like, if I apply working out, right?
Right. Right.
Like it.
Makes a huge
Yes,
difference.
yeah, yeah. All
Yeah.
aspects of the jumping into it, and then the kind of being comfortable or being to some degree scared, right, to make that change,
Yeah.
because the comfortable is at least having me be at the top of what I'm
Yeah.
good at versus
Yep.
branching out to something else.
Yeah. So I think just be aware of, what am I comparing myself
Mhm.
to? And is my plan is if it was good enough before this moment, is it still good enough now in the moment? Again, having worked some athletes, athletes who have very specific plans. So in triathlon, it's swim, bike, run, and so they'll know by the time they get to the run a certain pace they won't be running. But you're coming off with different people. You didn't know who you'd be running with at the end because it was swim, bike, and run. And I'll have athletes who will make certain plans. I'm going to run at a certain pace, and then all of a sudden you had a really good day, and I wasn't expecting you, and you're like, oh shoot, I planned for Erica to be behind me, and she's not. She's ahead of me. And I'll have athletes who will, with competition, start to change their own plans in comparison to someone else, ignoring the fact that in the first K of a 5K race, everybody overruns.
Mhm.
And so in the moment, they'll quickly pick the wrong bar. And I'm going, so there's seasons when you want to turn it off. And you're like, okay, to be great at 3K, 4K, 5K, oh, that means don't compare to anybody for the first K.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
and there's a part of it that's trusting your process and your plan
Yes.
that is
Yes.
critical to
Yep.
success. Um, and if
Yeah.
you're comparing, you could shift
Yeah.
sooner than you should or need to because of that comparison.
Yeah. And because competition is such an emotionally driven goal, it's very intense. Is it knowing, okay, am I is this the bar I knew I'd be comparing myself to, and I'm okay with it? Or am I just having a momentary setback and I'm not losing the game? I just missed a basket. I just need to make that a little shift and be able to kind of reframe that just a little bit of, oh well, okay, yep. Am I performing or underperforming based on my plan, not based on someone else?
Mhm.
taking that plan internally because your analytical did the work. It made a plan.
Yes.
Am I performing? Am I losing in comparison to my plan or someone else's opinion? Keep that is again part of the whole like maps are dead. Use your own compass, kind of bring it inside. Like, wait, gonna ping myself versus the outside, where it's like, wait a minute, I did the work. I know it's the right call. It's a good idea for my son. We step in. Yep, my son's unhappy in the first 90 days, 6 months. Well, because it's hard. It's gonna be. It's okay. But it was still the right plan.
Hmm.
It's not a matter of, oh gosh, maybe I should because other parents are saying X or we're saying nope. The plan was still the plan
Yeah.
versus going because that's where we get lost and we start to like compare out versus compare to the thing we chose.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah. Last one is again I kind of brought it up already, but consistency is so interesting. Um, Consistency was originally called fairness. I mean, Gallup didn't like it; they thought it sounded off, so they changed it up. And so the big joke was always never play board games with consistency because they care more about the rules than the result. Everybody should get a fair shot. Have you ever played anybody like, starting now the rules will be, and they're like, no, we're starting again. You know, like this is how this works.
Yes.
But consistency really does. I love, I think equity is a great word for those who get what equity is, right? Which isn't about equality. It's about a system producing experiences, outcomes, and results that match depending on how you feel in the system. Consistency brings that to the table. This idea of, hey, let's give people a shot. Let's give people an opportunity. And so consistency, it's often about customer service levels. It's about how we show up. It's kind of about a system too. They kind of think about, I don't want to just do it once. I want to be dependably supportive. I want to be a bit, and so even with the competition, you're like a new part of a role, you're like, oh, I'm not my A player yet. It feels inconsistent with who you know you are
Hmm.
ultimately. And so going, wait, no, and so the ability to break it in of saying, oh, wait, in a new part of a job, in a new role, in a new company, this is consistent with what ramp up looks like. It's not consistent for when I'm all 5 years in, but it's consistent with the new part of a job. And so consistency is about fairness, the ability to really create justice. Does that resonate with you?
Yes. Yeah. Like I think honestly, based off of the leaders I've had, all the way back to United Way, the ones that have made an impact
Yeah.
on both my growth professionally, but also where I've felt the best, have all been really consistent in their leadership in terms of like everyone's voice needs to be heard. Doesn't matter if you're Mike Dauphinee CEO or Mike Dauphinee specialist. Like
Yeah.
if you have an idea, you
Yep.
share it. And those are the
Yep.
people that I think I've tried to mimic or take from as head teams, but also have just really greatly appreciated the consistency that they've led uh,
Yeah.
across different teams and different departments and how it has positively impacted culture at each of the organizations.
Yeah. It's such because that's one of the things we understand is that our strengths, all of our Clifton strengths themes, they describe something we bring to the table, bring to our lives, bring to our relationships, and also something we need too. And so you may find that you can create consistency, but like you just described, you will thrive when you're able to be around people who bring
Hmm.
that, who provide that stability of, oh yeah, it's clear that I can bring in any idea I want, even though I don't have an idea right now. I could bring it because these people in this environment, they let me be consistent. They let me bring that voice because all voices are welcome.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And so it can be an interesting opportunity. Do you ever find that your consistency bumps into the need to be adaptable and responsive when there's need for change? It doesn't have to, but have you ever just had times where you're like, you know what, making the change or having to make an exception has gotten in the way, or I've struggled to navigate that.
Um, I mean, I would say I hate change, but
But you made
yeah,
significant, like you
yeah.
made
I mean, I like,
significant. You hate change, and you literally said she said every day is different. So when you're describing, I'm like, she has consistency. So again, it applies different ways.
yes, yeah. I mean, I think for me, honestly, this goes back to the analytical. Like
Yeah,
anytime there's a change, I need to know the why.
yeah,
That,
yeah,
like then I can adapt, then I can move forward,
yep,
but I have a hard
yeah,
time with just do it versus give
mm,
me the why we're doing it. Um,
yeah,
and so with that information, I'm great. I can move forward. I can figure out what we need to do and how to implement it. But that detail is important to me.
But see, that's really key to know is that if you aren't, it's not about the tactical being consistent as much as it is about the leadership and culture being consistent, the mission being
Hmm.
consistent.
Yes. Yes.
I'm sure it shows up in tactical ways too at times, but you may find the more, actually, I tell people all the time, our CliftonStrengths teams are a great dashboard for our internal health. You are likely, the consistency, the need for consistency goes to smaller and smaller levels the more stressed and tired we are. And so we're suddenly you're obsessed about smaller changes. We're like, look, I would have let that go, but now I'm like, well, why did we change this? And why did we change this? That is usually a sign of fatigue somewhere when you're like, okay, really? We're gonna start using blue pens instead of black pens? What on earth? You're like, what happened? You're like, wait, what are we talking about
Right.
now? Like,
Why is this causing this
yeah,
reaction? Yeah, 100%. Where
yeah,
I mean, I think probably multiple days a week where I have to
yeah,
like, what, this is not something major. It is a
yeah,
minor change that
yeah,
that I have to figure out the root cause of why it's difficult.
yep. And doesn't matter. And so finding a way to reframe it. I've talked about this before with other people, but years ago I was working with Lake Washington School District in Redmond, Washington, and a new senior principal came in to one of the junior principals. They had a junior who didn't want to actually be promoted. They're like, I want to be the assistant principal. But one had the assistant principal had consistency, and the new principal did not. And the previous partnership between the principal and assistant had been like 5, 6 years long history. And I got brought in to chat with them because there was a big blow up because the new principal changed the fruit being served in the cafeteria. And when I was like, wait, what? And like the assistant principal, of all the things, he was totally laid back on a million changes, but something about the change of fruit in the cafeteria. And he literally said, well, we've never offered oranges every meal. We've never offered oranges every lunch. And it was like, as if every kid was going to come back and demand their orange. It's not fair. You didn't have oranges when I attended junior high at East Lake. And like, and I was like, and I said, okay, wait a minute. I was like, and we are kind of, he was joking about it, but we were talking about conflict. And I said, well, would it be okay to say that as long as the new principal served fruit and not Snickers bars, you would be okay with it? And he was like, oh, well, yeah, I guess so. It's like finding the common denominator of what it really was. Because it was just, for him, it was a lot of change. And he's like, I just found myself annoyed that we were changing the fruit and it's the straw that broke the camel's back. But it's this idea of reframing, going, okay, yeah, we're changing systems. And while tactically it's annoying, has the mission changed? Has our agreement to provide what's needed, is that stable? Is that consistent? And hunting for that consistency in yourself. It's a different reframing in some
Hmm.
ways. Of these five, do any of them stand out to you more than others? Would you say, because, we've already talked a little bit about you want to grow, you want to create things, you want to be great. You know, of those five, I can see things that stand out, but do any of these stand out to you now?
I mean, I will always like love my analytical. Like I think that's the one I see.
Yeah,
I
I think you
see
should. Love it.
yeah, I see the most obviously, I guess. Like that's the one to me
Yeah.
that when I know, and I know we're doing all of these things very naturally, like all of
Mhm.
our strengths, and it's like this is just
Yep.
pieces that are part of our, our personality to some degree. That's one where I've never needed someone to explain to me.
You just
I
knew.
was
You're
like,
like,
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
live this. I got this one.
that's definitely me. And I think the includer, certainly from career choice and on, but also from how I observe myself in social situations and those things like that one. I'm like, yep, that's
Mm.
that's very much part of when I feel natural and what I'm like. That's just a piece of me. So
Yeah.
those two I think are very easy for me. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Which is so interesting. High emotional intelligence, high critical thinking. Like,
I'm in my
Because
poor husband.
one's very externally tuned and one is very internally tuned.
Yeah, yeah. It's like
Yeah.
the introvert extrovert kind of mentality, right? Like very much at war at sometimes with like what's coming naturally
Yep.
to me, um, from a strength.
Yeah. The appreciation of people will also, because I was going to ask with analytical, one of the things when I'm teaching teams to groups and teams, I'm often saying, oh, you have analytical on your team. Make sure to give them time in advance and time to think, right? Information in advance and time to think are key elements for analytical. And too often that is not the case because we are not intentional enough to give agendas or to give things in advance of meetings. But I always often say if you have analytical in your profile and you want to navigate as a partner well, give them information in advance and give them time to think. Does that resonate? Does that show up for you too, or are you more responsive? You're like, no, I've learned to think on the fly. How does that
I
work for you?
mean, Mike, if I thought how many times I looked at the email today to see what the structure of the podcast was going to be, no, it 100% resonates, and it's actually like I feel like an irritation when I'm like, why isn't there an agenda in this? Like, want me
Mm,
to like come and speak on
yeah,
something or contribute
yeah,
without having
yeah,
an opportunity to have thought about it independently. Like, I think
yeah,
that's a big piece of
yeah,
it too, that I'm much more comfortable and feel better if I have the
yeah,
opportunity to think alone. So some of
yeah,
those processes, right? Some of the pieces of the analytical, even the, making shifts in my career and the confidence and my ability to do them have been because it was like me thinking on my own, right? Like not like, hey, I'm going to take this to the group and say, what do you think about this? It was like, these are
yeah,
my pieces that I'm thinking about that I need to implement and execute
yeah.
on.
When you navigated this, when you decided to make the change professionally, if you don't mind, answer as much as you're willing to. When it comes to navigating it personally with you and your husband, maybe you got your family, was it a process that you ran kind of independently? You're kind of like, okay, I sat down and wrote through to make that 3 years ago. You're shifting over here to the startup. Is this a process you ran and then said, okay, here's how I do this? Or is it you're like, I kind of put it out there, he and I have conversations, I go away, I write, I come back. How would you describe that navigation process in a partnership like a marriage?
I did it on my own.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean,
I
that
mean,
that totally works for
I
people.
I think I again, like for me, it's the making almost the list of
Yeah.
the what I need to move forward, and make the
Mm-hmm.
decision. And this is probably where self-assured comes in too, right? Like I did
Yeah.
all of the thinking, and then
Yep.
I said,
Yeah.
"Hey, I'm doing this, and
Yeah.
this is why." And he was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, great,
Okay, good.
cool. See how this goes."
Oh, let's
But
go.
even the switch, because when I went from United Way to the first company, they were a startup, and he was like, "Whoa, like this is really
It's
out
a
of
big
left
change.
field. Like you weren't even looking for a job." And I was like, "I know, but I talked to her, and like all of these
Nice.
things presented that were so intriguing and valuable to me." Um,
Yeah.
and that's kind of been the trajectory of every switch, is
Yeah.
that I've really thought and did my list internally and thought, what is it going to get me next?
Wow. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and and then,
Do you actually write things down when you're doing that process? Like, do you actually make notes for yourself
yes,
and
yeah,
like write?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
100%. Like I will always start like internalizing it first, right? And to your point of
Mm-hmm.
fatigue, like, am I starting to react to some things? This is personally and professionally. Like, am I reacting to things that are truly either nothing in the grand scheme of life or
Yep.
an irritation that 4 years ago would have just been a bump and go to the next call, right? Like, so
Right.
when I start to like notice shifts in what I would say are my kind of my norm from a personality
Mm-hmm.
and process standpoint, then I internalize it and I start to think and think and think like what is going on, and then I start to look and revisit like what was it that I wanted to accomplish, right? And this is not just professionally; it's personally, like I'll say, like I'm on like year 3 of the working out, right? Like took this like approach. This is what I wanted to do. And I'm the one that's like reaching out to my trainers.
Mhm.
Writing down those
Yeah.
things again.
So I think for some reason your recording just stopped for me. I don't know what happened there. I'm like, what just happened? That's weird. Hey, refresh. Let's see if you'll let me hit pause on this. You hear record again? Okay, you want to leave it hop right back in. We'll just finish it off. Let me pause here. Let's see if this works out. There we go. We're back in there.
Okay.
Yeah, because what's interesting to me is that we're thinking about the analytical pieces that, yeah, it's good. The writing things down. People with analytical often tell me the importance of the fact that yeah, I took notes. I wrote it down. I looked at it. Our brains, one, hold on to information better when they know things are written. That's a key piece. But even as you described reaching out to the trainer, it's, well, we said we wanted to do this. Did we do it? And so your futuristic didn't go far away, right? The futuristic competition part of you. And I think you kind of put a little bow on this to tie this together. It's pretty, what is interesting is you have pieces of your profile that are very tactical and specific. Like you don't like things that are fluff and anecdote, right? The analytical competition consistency is I really want to deal in truth. However, I want to apply this truth to mission that matters to me. And
Yeah.
they can't really be separated. Is that it's simultaneously both. It's not just like, well, yeah, I'm on a train on a track too. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. You're like, no, 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 no. My truth still is I want the mission to matter. And if I can find a better mission that's more aligned with the core of my mission, which is helping people, making a difference, I will change. And so if you're finding stuck or finding choices that don't match, it will almost, what's interesting is that, again, we're back to the what makes me move fast. It's clarity of mission, consistency of growth and creation, not talk, but measurable action ends up being the anchor that then makes the tactics. You're like, I can find tactics. You're like, I can find truth. I can figure out what's wrong with my plan. I can figure out what's wrong with my data. If you're feeling unsure and uncertain, somebody hasn't sold you the clarity of the impact yet.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I have to like believe in it.
Yeah. Because your ability to go, yeah, I can research to death. I can think, I can gather data, and I trust myself. So if you're overthinking, it's not because you're like, wait, I've done all the work here. Wait a minute, I got all the data. Okay, I'm not making a move because somebody hasn't yet convinced me that this is better than what we've got. And so knowing that about yourself, going the next time it comes to a major move, is that follow what you've done well, which is, oh, my priority is growth and actual creating things that not just talking about it, but actually creating real impact, real change, real reality for people. If that's clear enough, and I believe they have enough of the details to be at least honest about what's going on, they don't need to be perfect. They just got to be real. You'd be willing to step into that.
Yes. Yeah. You always make the flipping the questions seem so obvious when we're talking. Like, yeah, duh, that's obviously what I need to do is just ask it
Right?
that way. Obviously. All solved.
It's all
Perfect.
solved.
So, yeah.
Oh God! But
Yeah.
I think that's part of the process. Is that I would say we always do. I'm gonna tell people to do these one-on-ones because it's just a matter of going. We do naturally, and our brain is just so happy that it doesn't break that we don't even think about why it works. So like the whole point of doing CliftonStrengths is like, there's a reason why it worked. Is there anything that I might be able to tap into dependably? And so when you see it that way, when you see like, oh yeah, I mean, because again, that's the thing that stands out to me is that Erica, your courage in making shifts, knowing how consistent and analytical you are, that's what impresses me. It's like I'm like, man, you're really compelled by something that is about impact because otherwise you'd be like, no, no, it's easy just to do what's trusted and known, and this is dependable. And you're like, I'm not. So living in that tension of not being satisfied and hungry, but also making sure that it's real, like that impresses me.
Thank you.
So I really appreciate you taking time to meet up with me. I'm gonna wrap this up, so don't get off the call because I really would like to chat more. But hey, Erica, thank you so much for being on today. If you or somebody else you know would like to join in and kind of be a part of Maps Are Dead with Mike D, what a title. Um, Shoot us a DM, but also please like, follow, comment, be a part of our podcast. Hope you guys have a great day. See you next time.
Thanks for watching Maps Are Dead. If these conversations are helping you rethink your path, do us a favor. Like, follow, and leave a 5-star review. Helps other people find us and helps others find their way. And if today's episode is hit home, if the map you're following doesn't quite feel right, we've got something for you. We call it the navigation brief. Here's how it works. You send us your top 5 Clifton strengths. We're gonna send you back a custom video with real insights. Where you are, what's holding you back, and how to start moving with more clarity. No fluff, no hype, just truth, direction, and a little shot of momentum. You can sign up at the link in the show notes or in the podcast description. Thanks for being here. We'll see you in the next episode. Remember, maps are dead, so live courageously.